and welcome to News Hour on Voice of the People TV. I am Vivian Oguche. Before we begin, kindly visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. First, the headlines. Tinubu departs for Lagos for ECOWAS anniversary. And Reps Speaker withdraws compulsory voting bill. FCTA sells PDP headquarters, others over ground rent debt. And one injured as blast near Abuja barracks causes panic. Federal government targets 1 billion naira annual gas growth, flare ending. And NAGGW shares 5 million date seedlings to northern states. On the foreign scene, air raid kills over 54 sheltering in Gaza school. And business Dangote Partners MPA targets $7 million a daily export revenue. In sports news, Super Eagles open training camp. And in entertainment, Mrs. Tinubu honors autistic star artist Kanye Chukwu. And now the news in detail. President Bola Tinubu will leave the Federal Capital Territory on Tuesday for Lagos to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Economic Community of West African States alongside other leaders. Disclosing this in a statement on X, his special advisor on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, said the Lagos events will include reenacting the 1975 declaration at the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs in Victoria Island. According to the statement, President Tinubu, who is also the chairman of ECOWAS, will highlight the economic bloc's milestones. Also, chairman of the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs and former Minister of External Affairs, Professor Bolaji Akinyemi, will review the bloc's 50-year journey. Also, the only surviving head of state who signed the ECOWAS declaration, General Yakubu Gowon, retired, will participate in all the ceremonies and deliver a speech at the event, while the president of the ECOWAS Commission, Dr. Omar Toure, is expected to deliver the welcome address, the statement further read. Meanwhile, Tinubu will on Saturday commission Section 1 of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, Lekki Deep Seaport Tax Credit Concrete Road, the flag-off of Section 2 of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, and the 7th Exhill Road, it stated. And now the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Abbas Tajuddin, has announced the withdrawal of the bill aimed at amending the Electoral Act 2022 to make voting mandatory for all eligible Nigerians. According to Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Musa Krishi, the decision followed extensive consultations with stakeholders, though Tajuddin said the bill, which he co-sponsored with Daniel Ago, had been introduced with the best of intentions. He explained that the intention was to bolster civic engagement and strengthen the nation's democracy by encouraging higher voter turnout. He further argued that compulsory voting has long been practiced with notable success in countries like Australia, Belgium, and Brazil, where it has helped sustain participation rates above 90%, while Argentina and Singapore, among others, have also implemented similar measures to foster inclusivity at the ballot box. However, Tajuddin said that rather than compel participation, he would explore positive incentives and innovative approaches that would make voting more attractive. He further noted that lawmaking is about the people being served and that any reform must respect individual freedoms and public sentiment. And after months of threats and warnings, the Federal Capital Territory Administration has taken possession of Wadata Plaza, which hosts the PDP's National Secretariat due to 28 years of unpaid ground rent. Director of Lands at the FCTA, Chijoke Onwakweze, said the action followed the revocation of the property's land title, which was formerly served on the property owner, Senator Samaila Kofi, on the 14th of March. Nwakweze explained that the property located on plot 1970 Michael Okbara Street, Use Zone 5, Abuja, was officially reverted to the FCTA after repeated failure to settle outstanding annual ground rent spanning nearly 3 decades. Nwakweze noted that the revocation notice was properly delivered to Kofi's registered address in Kaduna. He further clarified that the FCTA does not deal with tenants, but only with the rightful property owners recorded in its database. According to him, the property was among the 4,794 titles revoked in March due to unpaid ground rent totaling over 6 billion naira, and was the sixth to be sealed so far as the enforcement exercise continues. The other sealed properties include a Total Filling Station, Axis Bank, the Federal Inland Revenue Service Office, Ebro Hotel, and Mabuda Company Warehouse, all located in Wuse Zone 5, Abuja. On a sad note now, one person reportedly sustained injuries as an explosion near the Abacha barracks along the Inyanya Maraba Road in Abuja caused panic among residents and passers-by. According to reports, there was certainly an explosion, but no one knows yet if it was a bomb or whatever else. Spokesperson for the Federal Capital Territory Police Command, Josephine Ade, confirmed the explosion in a statement. According to her, the incident happened at about 2:50 in the afternoon and prompted an immediate response from the Explosive Ordnance Disposal Unit, which was deployed to the scene. She added that the area was quickly cordoned off for clearance and analysis to ensure the safety of commuters and residents. Ade further disclosed that a male victim was rescued at the scene and promptly taken to the hospital, where he was currently receiving medical attention. Meanwhile, she noted that a comprehensive investigation, including forensic analysis, has commenced to determine the exact cause and nature of the explosion. Well, still in Abuja, a group of heavily armed kidnappers invaded Grow Homes Estate in the Chikakori area of Kubwa in the Federal Capital Territory between midnight and 1:30 a.m. on Monday, holding residents hostage for over an hour and later taking away some persons. According to a resident, the police arrived at about 1 a.m. and a fierce exchange of gunfire followed for approximately 30 minutes. Confirming the incident, the spokesman for the Federal Capital Territory Police Command, Josephine Ade, said a female victim was released after an intense gun battle with the armed men. She added that efforts were ongoing to rescue the remaining victims. According to Ade, the FCT Police Command responded to a distress call at about 1 a.m. from police officers stationed in front of Grow Homes Estate in Kuchibuyi village in Biazing, who reported an attack by armed assailants. She disclosed that the attackers had breached the estate through the rear perimeter fence and forcefully abducted two victims, one of whom, identified as Chinyere Joe, was rescued after a gun battle, while the attackers escaped with the second victim. And now the National Association of Nigerian Students has alleged that the authorities of Bayero University, Kano, victimized and harassed the student leader and immediate past president of the institution's Students' Union Government, Comrade Nasir Issa. In a statement by the national president of NANS, Olushola Oladoja, the association called on the BUK management to look into the situation, disclosing that Issa was being persecuted by a top lecturer in the Faculty of Allied Health Sciences. Oladola stated that as the universal president of NANS, he was duty-bound to rise in defense of justice, equity, and the true essence of student representation as a custodian of the collective will of Nigerian students. He further condemned the said victimization and continued harassment of Issa, whom he described as a committed advocate and embodiment of progressive student leadership. Oladoja added that Issa is being harassed and victimized in a number of manners, including denial of test participation to frustrate him and make him fail in his studies. And now, Kaduna-based Islamic cleric Sheikh Gumi says he was prevented from performing the 2025 Hajj exercise by Saudi Arabian authorities. Gumi, in his Facebook post on Monday, said the Saudi authorities were uncomfortable with his presence in the Holy Land, even though they had issued him a visa, noting that their apprehension stemmed from his views about world politics. He stated that he has already returned to Nigeria. Meanwhile, the cleric said the Nigerian government has promised to immediately take up the issue with Saudi authorities. He added that he was now free to attend to his health and farming activities while urging continued prayer for the safe return of all pilgrims and peace and prosperity for Nigeria. Now, the face-off between two powerful figures in the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Federal Capital Territory Minister Nyesom Wike and Governor Oluwaseyi Makinde of Oyo State has raised fresh concerns over the stability and future of the main opposition party. Party members and political observers have expressed frustration, warning that internal conflicts could derail efforts to reposition the PDP ahead of future elections. However, Nigerians are calling for urgent reconciliation, stressing the need for unity and focus within the party. VOP TV's Matthew Ogunswada provides a further update in this report.
The internal crisis rocking the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has worsened following Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike's withdrawal from ongoing reconciliation efforts. Wike, in a statement released on Sunday, blamed Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde and Enugu State Governor Peter Mbah for undermining agreements reached to stabilize the party. The fallout threatens the party's long-postponed 99th National Executive Committee meeting, now slated for May 27th, with top party officials admitting that the meeting may be in jeopardy. Wike, citing repeated violations of previous agreements, accused Makinde and Mbah of trying to impose Ude Okoye as National Secretary against a Supreme Court ruling favoring Senator Samuel Anyanwu, while also criticizing the national leadership for issuing conflicting directives that allegedly sabotaged party functions, including the recent aborted North Central Zonal Congress in Jos. Conversely, former Senate President Bukola Saraki, head of the reconciliation team, downplayed Wike's withdrawal, stating that efforts would continue to bring all factions together, warning against allowing the PDP, Nigeria's only remaining legacy party, to collapse, noting that such a development would tilt the country towards one-party rule. As Voice of the People TV, we are on the street to get the opinion of citizens towards this new development.
PDP has been in government for a very long time. And most of the people that have these various political parties, LP, SDP, and all that, most of them were members of PDP. So they know the in things there is what to do. So the problem between Wike and what's the man? Makinde, right? They are all from PDP. They know their problem, they have to solve it. It shouldn't be a problem for us. It doesn't concern us at all. Whatever they are playing to the gallery. We people watching, we don't know what is happening, but they say know what is happening. They should go back to PDP. Both Wike and Makinde should go back to PDP and solve the problem there. If they feel APC cannot solve the problem of Nigeria, they should go back to PDP and remake Nigeria.
I just want only two people to understand Wike, because he himself is fighting for his own. We can say everybody, but his own is fighting. Let PDP allow him to do what he wants to do. When they wanted to do the inauguration of our president, he is acting vice president. That's 2023. And when those senior men went and sit, look at him, that he does behave like a majority. Then don't bring such of this type of somebody that is going to spoil their own teams.
PDP, they are the one that cause everything, or the whole problem started as an internal crisis. That's just it, the internal crisis. But for them to have a sustainable platform or structure right now, it's going to take them time, because I see more people defect, more political defecting. They're going to defect because the structure now is gone. It's gone, and it's going to take them a longer time for them to come back. Like I said the other time, a conference to pacify them. They should try and state their agenda and they should try and be plain, transparent. PDP has been there for 16 years, for crying out loud. APC just came, I think they just came out from the blues based on their coalition. The Buhari, NN, what they call it, is it NN, what they have forgotten, this Buhari party. They came together. Yes, they came together, they formed that coalition based on Jagaban. Jagaban saw it that if they should come together, they're going to be a formidable force. That is what PDP is trying to do right now. They want a coalition. They think what APC did that pays them is going to pay. No, it's not going to do that.
As we've heard from citizens, many believe that the PDP must put its house in order to remain a credible opposition. However, Nigerians will be watching closely to see if this party will be able to overcome its internal rifts and strife in the coming days and weeks ahead. Matthew Oguswada, reporting for Voice of the People TV.
Thank you. You're still watching the news hour on Voice of the People TV. When we return, more stories. Stay with us.
We are the station that brings you stories from the people's perspective.
We let your voice be heard. On Political Lens, we bring you deeper insights into happenings within the polity.
We create equality of representative opinion and fairness in politics, economic and diverse conversations.
Here we bring you breaking news, fresh perspectives, as well as fact-based analysis.
Watch our extraordinary shows from the People's Voice, where we get to amplify the stories and concerns of everyday Nigerians through hashtags.
To Health Check, where we share practical wellness tips and bring you deep insights from medical professionals.
Maritime Frontiers, we dissect issues on port operations and more.
Every time we talk about sport, it's everything that has to do with sport, from the top to the finish. Just be with us, stay with us all of the time. We give you sporting activities just as you unfold, and that's what we do, and that's what we are called. Voice of the People TV, and you already know.
We got you all covered.
Here, you have more than a voice.
Welcome back, everyone, and now the rest of the news. Towards meeting the national gas production aspirations and also ending routine gas flaring, the Ministry of State Petroleum Resources, Ekperipe Epo, has charged major gas-producing companies in Nigeria to increase daily production by 1 billion standard cubic feet per annum between 2025 and 2030. Speaking at an engagement with upstream gas industry stakeholders in Abuja, ECPO stressed the need for accelerated growth in the sector to meet the federal government's target of 12 billion SCF of gas per day by 2030 from the current 7.3 billion SCF production capacity. According to him, Nigeria needs to grow natural gas production by at least 1 BCF annually till 2030 and must emerge among the top 10 natural gas consuming nations by 2030. To achieve this, the country must aggressively increase drilling operations in joint venture assets across all terrains and prioritize the completion of major gas processing and evacuation infrastructure projects, the minister stated. Well, the National Agency for the Great Green Wall says it has procured 5 million date palm seedlings for distribution across 11 frontline northern states to combat desertification and promote economic development in the region. Disclosing this during a courtesy visit to some traditional rulers in Yobe State as part of the agency's environmental sensitization efforts, The Director General of the agency, Saleh Abubakar, said the initiative was part of the agency's mandate to fight land degradation and the impact of climate change. He explained that the gesture would significantly boost the nation's economy and provide long-term environmental benefits. According to him, each date tree can produce fruits worth about 1 million naira yearly, while the tree produces twice a year and reaches maturity within 4 years. To this end, Abubakar said the agency is projecting that this initiative could inject over 300 billion naira into the economy when fully implemented. He further stressed the need for collective action towards restoring the degraded environment and urged communities to support tree planting and nurturing. Well, away from the environment now, Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court in Abuja has fixed the 4th of July for judgment in the suit filed by the Nigeria Interbank Settlement System PLC against the Central Bank of Nigeria and others. Justice Omotosho fixed the date after counsels to NIBSS and the CBN adopted their processes and presented their arguments for and against the suit. NIBSS is seeking an order to prevent any institution from challenging its statutory authority to maintain and manage the bank verification number database in Nigeria. NIBSS had sued the Incorporated Trustees of Digital Rights Lawyers Initiative, the CBN, and the Attorney General of the first to third defendants, respectively, seeking a declaration that it is statutorily empowered to maintain and manage the BVN database. Now, displaced traders and residents under the Ido Bridge in Lagos State have pleaded for urgent government help as they have been rendered homeless and without livelihoods following the demolition of structures under the bridge where they were residing or trading. The Minister of Works, Senator Dave Umahi, on Sunday ordered the demolition, citing serious safety concerns and a risk of imminent collapse. It was aimed at clearing illegal settlements and securing federal infrastructure. However, those affected said their sudden displacement has thrown them into turmoil as the place provided them either a family residence or place for business. Some of the illegal occupants claimed that they paid annual rents of up to 300,000 naira to some individuals who presented themselves as landlords or agents. In a related development, the Lagos State government has announced the successful relocation of the Okobaba Plank Market at Ebute Metta to a newly developed site at Timberville at Agbowa, and the provision of 260 units of two-bedroom flats for the traders. Now, Special Advisor to the Governor on EGIS and Urban Development, Dr. Olajide Babatunde, disclosed this at the ongoing Lagos State 2025 Ministerial Press Briefing at Alausa, Ikeja, as part of the activities to commemorate Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's second year of second term in office. Babatunde further stated that 21 other markets, including Computer Village, Abulegba, and Alabama Transnational Market, are at various stages of relocation, revitalization, and redevelopment under the supervision of the Lagos State Urban Renewal Agency. According to him, LASURA aims to achieve a 50% annual reduction in slums and squatter settlements across the state, reducing slum areas by half every year through infrastructure renewal and proper urban planning. Well, coming up after this short break are world stories, business, and sports as well. Stay with us.
Television awuchiela onye nụ ya ka ọrụ ibe ya. Ị chọrọ ịmata akụkọ ndị gbara n'akwụkwọ dị iche iche n'ala anyị kwa ụbọchị. Ị chọrọ ịmata ka o si afịatụ na ndọrọndọrọ ọchịchị. agụmakwụkwọ, azụmahịa, ime njem, ọbụladị egwuregwu. Mgbasonyere anyị n'oge ndị Igbo na Voice of the People Television. Anyị nwere ndị ọbịa bụ ọkachamara, bụkwa ndị ga-enye aka tapịa isiokwu ndị anyị jiri bịa kwa ụbọchị. Anyị ga-eji ka o siri gbaa n'akwụkwọ akụkọ dị iche iche wee malite tupu anyị akọzie n'uju n'ubi onye anyị bịara na nke ya.
Ịgbamụrụ nzem ọzọ kedụkosi aga ya gaziere onye ukwu ma gaziere onye nta.
Mkparịta ụka tọrọ atọ ka anyị ga-ewetara gị bụkwa nke ga-eme ka ị mata ka ihe si aga n'ala anyị bụ Naịjirịa ọbụladị na mba ofesi. Oge ndị Igbo na Voice of the People Television ga na-abịara gị site n'ụbọchị Mọnde ruo Fraịde na SLTV Channel 264. Ekwekwala ka akọrọ gị ya akọrọ. Chetakwa na ọ bụ na SLTV Channel 264 ka ị ga-ekiri Voice of the People Television. Voice of the People Television, ugbu a ị nwere karịa olu.
And now, no fewer than 54 Palestinians have been killed, most of them in a school building, sheltering displaced families during Israeli airstrikes on Gaza overnight. Hospital directors said Fahmy al-Jagawi School in Gaza City was housing hundreds of people from Beit Lahia, which is currently under intense Israeli military assault, with no fewer than 35 reported to have been killed when the school was hit. Gaza's Hamas-run civil defense said multiple bodies, including those of children, were recovered, with many severely burned after fires engulfed 2 classrooms serving as living quarters. The Israel Defense Forces said it had targeted a Hamas and Islamic Jihad command and the control center there. The IDF said the area was being used by the terrorists to plan attacks against Israeli civilians and IDF troops. Meanwhile, the head of an organization set up to distribute aid in Gaza as part of a controversial Israel-backed plan has resigned, saying it could not work in a way that adhered to humanitarian principles. Jake Wood quit the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation late on Sunday, saying it will not be able to fulfill the principles of humanity, neutrality, impartiality, and independence. The GHF plan, also backed by the U.S., envisions private contractors delivering aid to Palestinians via Israel-designated distribution sites, a plan heavily criticized by the United Nations, which says it will not participate. Under the plan, Palestinians would be expected to collect boxes weighing up to 20 kilograms containing food and basic hygiene items from 4 distribution points in southern Gaza. Israel insists the plan is needed to stop Hamas stealing aid, which the armed group denies doing. It is unclear how the weak or injured will be able to collect the aid. However, UN Aid Chief Tom Fletcher said it will force further displacement, restrict aid to only one part of Gaza, and make starvation a bargaining chip. Well, turning to other stories now, the Kremlin has rejected claims of potential Russian involvement in alleged arson attacks at properties connected to Prime Minister Keir Starmer, calling them ludicrous. It comes after media reports that UK security officials are investigating a potential leak following 3 incidents earlier this month. In response, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said that London tends to suspect Russia of involvement in all the bad things happening in Great Britain, adding that as a rule, all these suspicions are groundless and not backed up with any evidence. 3 men, 2 Ukrainian nationals and a Romanian man have been charged as part of a police investigation into the attacks. Several UK newspapers have claimed MI5 is investigating the possibility the attacks were ordered by the Kremlin, citing unnamed Whitehall officials. And now this report says the pomp and pageantry will be on full display when King Charles arrives in Canada for the first time since his coronation. He is due to deliver the speech from the throne to open the 45th session of Canada's Parliament in Ottawa on Tuesday. The King is the head of state of Canada and of 13 other Commonwealth realms such as Australia, New Zealand, and several Caribbean states, as well as the UK. The King, who will be traveling with Queen Camilla, previously journeyed to Canada several times as the Prince of Wales. This is his 20th visit. The address is traditionally given by the Governor-General, who is the monarch's top representative in Canada. They read it on behalf of the Prime Minister to set out the government's agenda when a new parliamentary session is about to begin. Canada's House of Commons and Senate cannot conduct any public business before the speech from the throne is made. Canada's current Governor-General is Mary Simon. But this time, newly elected Prime Minister Mark Carney has invited the King himself to inaugurate the new parliament on Tuesday. Well, let's take you to Venezuela now, where the ruling party is celebrating what it has described as an overwhelming victory in regional and parliamentary elections, which were boycotted by the majority of opposition parties. The Electoral Council, which is dominated by government loyalists, says candidates for the United Socialist Party of Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro won the race for governor in 23 out of the country's 24 states. According to the CNE, the ruling coalition also won 82.63% of the votes cast for the National Assembly, Venezuela's legislative body. The main opposition parties called the election a farce. Opposition leader Maria Corina Machado said turnout had been low and below 15%. And now Australia's former Chancellor Sebastian Kurz has won his appeal against a conviction for giving false testimony to a parliamentary committee. The court's ruling overturns last year's judgment and 8-month suspended prison sentence for the former political star. Once hailed a wonderkind of Europe's conservatives, the 38-year-old resigned as Chancellor in 2021 and quit politics amid a series of allegations. Last year, Kurz was found guilty of perjury for giving false testimony to a parliamentary committee. The case against him centered on allegations that he had been involved in the selection of executives on a newly created state holding company when he was Chancellor, as opposed to being merely kept informed. Kurz told a parliamentary probe in 2020 that he was involved in the sense of informed, but the first trial judge deemed that declaration false and ruled that Kurz had played a more active role. The appeal bench of 3 judges ruled in his favor on Monday, reading out in their judgment that Kurz was acquitted because the objective offense of giving false evidence was not fulfilled. Now, where authorities in the southern Kerala state have issued an alert after a ship carrying oil and hazardous cargo leaked and sank off its coast in the Arabian Sea. The spill occurred in a Liberia-flagged vessel that capsized near Kochi City on Sunday. The coastal stretch is rich in biodiversity and is also an important tourist destination. All 24 crew members on board the ship have been rescued, but some of the ship's 640 containers have reportedly been drifting towards the shore, prompting evacuations in the area. Authorities fear that oil, fuel, and other harmful substances that have leaked from the ship and its cargo could endanger the health of residents and marine life. Authorities have advised residents living near the sea to not touch any containers or the oil that might wash up onto the shore, while fishermen have been asked to avoid venturing too close to the sunken ship. On Monday, officials said they had intensified pollution control measures to contain the spill. Well, in business news, Dangote Industries Limited and the Nigerian Post Authority are partnering to develop Nigeria's marine and blue economy sector, targeting the expansion of export operations. Speaking during a courtesy visit to the NPA headquarters in Lagos, President of Dangote Industries, Aliko Dangote, said that both parties have agreed to work together for the benefit of Nigeria. Dangote disclosed that the size of his company's operation at Lekki alone will be almost 240 ships of crude per year, adding those to carrying products, which will bring all to over 600 ships in a year. More so, Dangote said the fertilizer operation will be loading almost 8 ships in such an operation that has never been seen in the country. Dangote explained that efforts were also ongoing to massively expand the company's export products, including cement and coal. The refinery operations, he said, will not export less than 25 million tons of various products, including about 600,000 to 700,000 metric tons of polypropylene. According to Dangote, in the next 2 years, the company would be exporting about 16,000 tons of fertilizer, yielding about $6.5 million to $7 million in revenue for the country daily. And our oil prices steadied on Monday after U.S. President Donald Trump extended a deadline for trade talks with the European Union, easing concerns about U.S. tariffs and the block that could hit fuel demand. Brent crude futures were down 17 cents at $64.61 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude was down 18 cents to $61.35 a barrel. Both contracts had traded higher earlier in the session after Trump said he agreed to extend the deadline for trade talks with the European Union until the 9th of July, marking another temporary trade policy reprieve. Global markets climbed on Monday, and the euro rallied after Trump delayed to slap 50% tariffs on EU goods. This report says it's Japan's version of the Fed's Jackson Hole Symposium without the trail hikes or views, and this year's gathering of global central bankers in Tokyo will focus on two uncomfortable realities, flagging economic growth and sticky inflation. The Bank of Japan and its affiliated think tank host a 2-day annual conference that kicks off on Tuesday and includes prominent U.S., European, and Asian academics and central bankers. Officials from the Federal Reserve, including New York Fed President John Williams, European Central Bank, Bank of Canada, and Reserve Bank of Australia, are among participants of the conference, which takes place at the BOJ's headquarters in central Tokyo. Well, in sports news now, the Super Eagles have opened training camp in England ahead of the highly anticipated 2025 Unity Cup, with 20 players already reporting for duty. The tournament, designed to foster unity through football, will feature a headline clash between Nigeria and long-standing rivals Ghana at Brentford's Tech Community Stadium. Early arrivals at the camp include a blend of seasoned internationals and promising newcomers, creating a competitive atmosphere as preparations intensify for the showdown. Among those already in camp are Ahmed Musa, Moses Simon, Kelechi Iheanacho, Semi Ajayi, among others. And now Matheus Cunha's transfer to Manchester United is at an advanced stage as the Wolves forward nears a £62.5 million move to Old Trafford. United will be required to pay the full fee for the Brazil attacker in 3 installments, general amount due in the summer of 2027. Cunha has made 92 appearances since arriving at Wolves, initially on loan from Atletico Madrid 2023, scoring 33 goals for the club. Entertainment news now. Ahead of the 2025 Children's Day, the First Lady Oluremi to attract both local and international accolades since her debut in 2021. Ira was also on the list of the top most followed African artists on Spotify, with over 4.8 million followers on the streaming platform. Her Grammy-nominated track, Rush, has smashed over 450 million views, boosting her popularity and global reach. Well, that does it for us on News Hour. Before we go, though, a quick look at the headlines. Tinubu departs for Lagos for ECOWAS anniversary. Reps Speaker withdraws compulsory voting bill. FCTA sales PDP headquarters, others over ground rent debt. One injured as blast near Abuja barracks causes panic. Federal government targets 1 billion naira annual gas growth and flare ending. Also, an NAGGW shares 5 million date seedlings to northern states. On the foreign scene, air raid kills over 54 sheltering in Gaza school. And in business news, Dangote Partners MPA targets $7 million a daily export revenue. In sports news, Super Eagles open training camp. And in entertainment news, Mrs. Tinubu honors autistic star artist Kanye Chukwu. Do also subscribe to our YouTube channel. On YouTube, we are Voice of the People TV. On other social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. I am Vivian Oguche, and thank you for watching.